She seems ideal, enchanting, smart, deeply caring. She hears your issues with real worry, gives careful guidance, and makes you feel known in ways you have never felt before. Friends and relatives adore her. She is all you believed you needed in a partner. Half a year later, you are sitting in your vehicle outside your own home, scared to enter. You have begun doubting your own memory, your own reasoning, your own mind. You feel regularly ashamed about stuff you cannot recall doing incorrectly. You are drained from stepping on emotional traps that seem to show up without any sign. You have turned into a foreigner to yourself, and you cannot understand how it occurred. You have met what experts name the shadow, the hidden darkness that certain people hold like a hidden illness, affecting everyone near them with their unhealed mental poison. These women are not clearly harmful. They do not declare their issues with bright signals. They work under the radar of conscious attention, using tools you cannot see to fight wars you did not know you were in. Today I will reveal the 6 kinds of mentally dangerous women who ruin men, not through clear brutality, but through subtle mental control that turns your own brain against you. Because the most harmful hunters are the ones you welcome into your life, believing they are rescuing you. The most damaging women in your life will not be the ones who yell, strike, or clearly abuse you. They will be the ones who appear loving, gentle, and deeply feeling, while methodically moving their mental issues into your head. They will make you feel like you are aiding them to get better while they are actually making you ill. This move occurs through systems you cannot see. You begin taking duty for feelings you did not make, fixing issues you did not start, and handling responses that belong to someone else's unhealed pain. Without knowing it, you become a holder for her mental trash. The process hides itself as closeness. She tells her deepest worries, her childhood hurts, her emotional battles with such obvious fragility, that you feel privileged to be trusted with such secret data. What you do not understand is that she is not telling for bonding. She is transferring for ease. Each transfer moves a part of her emotional load onto your back. You begin holding her nervousness, taking in her sadness, handling her triggers, and arranging your life around her uncertainty. Slowly, her inner turmoil becomes your outside truth. The most risky part is how this makes you involved in your own takeover. You think you are being helpful while allowing her to avoid responsibility for her own healing. You become hooked on feeling required while she becomes reliant on being saved. Mentally dangerous women work through steady projection, the hidden system where they dump their unrecognized traits onto you and then respond to you as if you have those traits. This makes a mental grid where you are never connecting to the real you. You are always connecting to her twisted view of who you are. When she says you are self-centered, she is projecting her own self-interest that she cannot admit. When she states you are emotionally distant, she is moving her own emotional barriers onto you. When she says you are trying to manage her, she is diverting from her own controlling actions. The projection grid is especially harmful because it makes real talk impossible. You are never discussing real problems. You are always protecting yourself against charges that do not fit your reality. Each discussion becomes a fight about who you are rather than what you have done. This constant protection against false claims slowly wears away your sense of self. You begin questioning your own views, doubting your own nature, and taking duty for issues that begin in her mind, rather than your actions. The grid becomes self-supporting because your tries to protect yourself are seen as proof of the very trait she is projecting onto you. Your irritation with being misinterpreted becomes evidence of your anger issues. Your tiredness from constant protection becomes proof of your emotional pullback. The most advanced type of mental control involves showing as a victim while really working as a hunter. These women have learned the skill of getting sympathy and support, while using that sympathy to manage and control the people around them. The victim show is carefully made to set off your protective instincts. She tells stories of past pain, current fights, and ongoing victimization that make you wish to save, guard, and defend her. Your natural male urge to give safety becomes the hook that keeps you stuck in her mental net. But the victim show is tactical rather than real. While she may have felt real pain, she has weaponized that pain to avoid duty for her current actions. Each critique becomes persecution. Each limit becomes abandonment. Each ask for answerability becomes more victimization. The switch occurs slowly as you become more invested in her wellness. The woman who appears so breakable and in need of protection shows herself to be very skilled at mental fighting. The victim becomes the accuser. The hurt becomes the fighter. The powerless becomes the manager. This switch is confusing because it goes against everything you believed you knew about the relationship force. The person you have been trying to save begins treating you like you are the issue. The victim you have been guarding begins attacking you as the wrongdoer. Some women work as emotional parasites, feeding off the mental energy of others while giving nothing real to the relationship beyond their need to be fed. These women do not want partnership. They want hosts who can maintain their emotional problems for good. The emotional parasite shows as someone who badly needs love, understanding, and support due to her sad past or current situation. She places herself as someone who would be incredible if only she could heal from her wounds, reach her aims, or beat her obstacles. This show sets off your savior complex, making you believe that your love, support, and commitment can change her into the person she has the possibility to become. You put huge energy trying to heal someone who has no plan of improving, because improving would stop the parasitic relationship she relies on. The parasitic force makes a cruel twist where your efforts to aid her actually allow her problems. Each time you save her from results, fix her issues, or give emotional control she should be giving for herself, you make her dependency stronger while weakening your own mental resources. The parasite never gets full because the hunger is not really about the specific support you give. It is about the power force where she controls your energy through appearing to need it. No amount of giving ever satisfies someone whose real addiction is to being given to. If you are starting to notice patterns in your own relationships that match these mental control plans, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. What I am showing today about hidden mental abuse could save you years of confusion and help you spot dangerous forces before they ruin your mental health. The image manager works through keeping a perfect public face while being totally different in private. She presents as kind, considerate, and emotionally grown to the outside world while showing controlling, judgmental, and manipulative actions when no one else is viewing. This double character creates deep mental confusion because it makes you question your own view of reality. The woman everyone else sees as great is the same woman who makes your private life awful through constant criticism, emotional control, and mental management. The image manager uses her public face as a weapon against you. When you try to talk about her private actions, she can point to many people who think she is amazing. Your complaints about her treatment seem unreasonable when compared to her reputation for kindness and care. This force isolates you mentally because no one else sees the actions you are experiencing. Friends and family think you are fortunate to be with such a wonderful woman, making it impossible to get support for handling her private control and management. The image manager also uses her public face to control your actions. She expects you to maintain the illusion of her perfection by never discussing her private actions, never showing frustration with her treatment, and always presenting as the happy pair she needs for her image control. Some women unconsciously create chaos and drama as a way of handling their own mental instability. They cannot stand calm, peaceful settings because internal chaos demands external expression. Being around them means living in a constant state of created emergency. The chaos maker creates issues that need your immediate attention and emotional investment. She makes crises, makes small problems into big conflicts, and ensures that there is always some drama needing your involvement and energy. This pattern serves multiple mental purposes for her. It keeps you too busy handling immediate problems to notice larger patterns in her actions. It places her as constantly needing your help and support. It creates strength that she mistakes for closeness. The chaos also serves as a defense system against real emotional connection. By keeping relationships in crisis mode, she avoids the vulnerability required for real intimacy. Drama becomes a replacement for depth. Strength replaces genuine connection. Living with a chaos maker is mentally draining because you never get to rest. There is always another crisis to handle, another emergency to fix, another disaster to stop. Your nervous system stays in constant activation, leading to long-term stress and eventual burnout. The limit breaker methodically tests, pushes, and breaks your personal limits while making you feel guilty for having limits in the first place. She works on the idea that love means unlimited access to your time, energy, space, and emotional resources. Limit breaks start small and grow slowly. She might appear unannounced, check your phone, make plans without asking you, or share private data with others. Each break is presented as evidence of her love and investment in the relationship. When you try to set or keep limits, she answers with hurt, anger, or charges of not truly loving her. She rewords your need for personal space as rejection, your wish for privacy as trickery, your request for respect as evidence of emotional withdrawal. The limit breaker uses emotional control to make you involved in your own limit erosion. She makes you feel selfish for wanting alone time, controlling for wanting to make your own choices, and distant for not sharing every thought and feeling immediately. Over time, limit breaks reshape your entire life around her needs and likes. You lose connection with friends she does not like, leave activities she finds threatening, and change your actions to avoid triggering her abandonment fears. The reality twister methodically weakens your view of reality by denying events that happened, rewriting history to favor her story, and making you question your own memory and judgment. This mental control is designed to make you reliant on her version of reality. Reality twisting works through consistent denial of your experience. When you remember her saying something painful, she insists she never said it. When you recall her doing something damaging, she claims it occurred differently. When you point out patterns in her actions, she acts like you are imagining things. The reality twister also uses selective memory to support her stories. She remembers every error you have ever made while forgetting her own harmful actions. She recalls your worst moments in perfect detail, while having convenient memory loss about her problematic actions. This systematic reality distortion slowly wears away your confidence in your own views. You start second-guessing your memory, questioning your judgment, and accepting her version of events even when it goes against your direct experience. The reality twister often presents herself as the reasonable one, trying to help you understand reality correctly. She places her reality distortion as care for your wellness, making you feel thankful for her patience with your apparently faulty views. The emotional terrorist uses your emotional investment in the relationship as leverage to control your actions through threats of emotional destruction. She holds the relationship hostage to ensure compliance with her demands and preferences. Emotional terrorism works through creating fear of emotional consequences. She threatens to leave if you do not meet her demands, threatens to hurt herself if you set limits, threatens to ruin your reputation if you challenge her actions. These threats do not have to be clear to be effective. She might simply withdraw affection, create dramatic scenes, or make crises whenever you act independently. The message becomes clear: comply or face emotional war. The emotional terrorist also uses your care for her wellness against you. She makes you responsible for her emotional state, her mental health, and her general happiness. Any action that displeases her becomes an attack on her mental stability. This emotional hostage-taking creates a relationship where you are constantly managing her emotions rather than stating your own needs. You become responsible for maintaining her stability, while receiving no stability in return. The identity thief slowly replaces your real self with a version that serves her mental needs. She methodically removes aspects of your personality, interests, and relationships that do not match her preferences or insecurities. Identity theft happens through subtle discouragement of activities, friends, and interests she finds threatening. She shows hurt when you spend time with certain friends, shows disapproval of hobbies she does not understand, and creates drama around activities that take attention away from her. The identity thief also shapes your personality through selective reinforcement. She rewards actions that serve her needs while punishing real expressions that make her uncomfortable. Gradually, you learn to change yourself to avoid triggering her negative responses. This process is particularly sneaky because it happens slowly and feels like natural relationship adaptation. You do not notice that you are losing yourself because the changes happen bit by bit over time. The identity thief often justifies this process as helping you become a better version of yourself. She presents her demands for change as love-motivated improvement, rather than controlling manipulation designed to serve her mental needs. The healing blocker unconsciously sabotages your attempts at personal growth, healing, and positive change, because your improvement threatens the mental force she depends on. She needs you to remain mentally damaged to maintain her sense of superiority and control. Healing blocking happens through subtle discouragement of therapy, personal development, and positive changes. She finds reasons why self-improvement is selfish, unnecessary, or threatening to the relationship. She creates crises that interfere with your healing activities. The blocker also weakens your progress by triggering old patterns and actions whenever you start making positive changes. She knows exactly which buttons to push to make you return to previous problems that she is more comfortable handling. This sabotage is particularly cruel because it targets your attempts to become healthier and more functional. The person who claims to love you actively works to keep you stuck in patterns that serve her needs rather than supporting your growth. The healing blocker often presents her sabotage as protecting the relationship from change. She makes you feel guilty for growing beyond the force that brought you together, even when that force was unhealthy. Most men miss the early warning signs of mental danger because they are looking for obvious red flags instead of subtle pattern disruptions. The most dangerous women do not announce their toxicity. They slowly normalize abnormal behavior until your reality becomes completely distorted. The first warning sign is the speed of closeness acceleration. Mentally dangerous women often push for deep emotional connection, exclusive commitment, or major life decisions much faster than healthy relationships naturally develop. This is not passion. It is mental urgency driven by their need to secure a host before you can fully judge their character. Another critical warning sign is the isolation pattern. She slowly creates distance between you and your support systems through subtle criticism of your friends, family, and activities. She does not forbid these connections directly. She makes them emotionally costly through hurt feelings, created crises, or passive-aggressive responses whenever you invest time elsewhere. The third warning sign is reality negotiation. The subtle but persistent attempts to change your view of events, conversations, and actions. She does not reality twist aggressively at first. She just offers different interpretations that favor her story while making you question your initial reactions. Watch for emotional temperature changes that do not match situational triggers. If she has extreme emotional reactions to minor events or completely inappropriate emotional responses to significant situations, you are seeing evidence of internal mental chaos that will eventually become your external reality. Understanding how mental toxicity spreads from dangerous women to their partners requires recognizing that emotional states are contagious through mirror neuron activation and unconscious behavioral mimicry. You literally start adopting her emotional patterns without conscious awareness. The infection begins with emotional attunement that feels like deep connection. You start synchronizing with her emotional rhythms, matching her energy levels, and responding to her mental states as if they were your own. This attunement creates the illusion of intimacy, while actually establishing mental dominance. As the infection progresses, you begin internalizing her emotional vocabulary. Her ways of interpreting events, assigning meaning to actions, and categorizing experiences become your default frameworks. You start seeing the world through her mental filters, rather than maintaining your own perspective. The final stage involves complete mental integration, where her emotional patterns become indistinguishable from your own. You cannot tell where her mental influence ends and your real responses begin. You have been mentally colonized while believing you were emotionally connecting. This infection process is particularly dangerous because it feels like personal growth and deepening intimacy. You interpret the mental changes as becoming more sensitive, more emotionally aware, and more deeply connected, when you are actually becoming more mentally dependent and less authentically yourself. Mentally dangerous women excel at creating trauma bonds, mental attachments that form through cycles of intense stress followed by relief, creating addictive emotional patterns that become difficult to break, even when the relationship is clearly harmful. Trauma bonding begins with creating artificial highs and lows in the relationship force. She generates crises that create intense stress, then provides relief from that stress, making you grateful for the return to baseline, rather than questioning why the stress existed in the first place. The bonding intensifies through intermittent reinforcement, where positive experiences become unpredictable rewards that you work increasingly hard to earn. The uncertainty about when you will receive affection, approval, or emotional connection creates mental addiction similar to gambling addiction. Trauma bonds also develop through shared intense experiences that feel like special connection, but are actually manufactured drama designed to create mental dependency. You start believing that the intensity of your emotional responses proves the depth of your connection, rather than recognizing it as evidence of mental manipulation. The trap becomes complete when you start equating the trauma bond with true love. The intensity of your emotional attachment, the difficulty of imagining life without her, and the fear of losing the connection all feel like evidence of deep love rather than symptoms of mental addiction. Breaking trauma bonds requires recognizing that intensity is not intimacy, that emotional addiction is not love, and that fear of loss is not evidence of value. Real love creates security and growth, not anxiety and dependence. Dangerous women often use social proof as a weapon to validate their actions and invalidate your concerns. They surround themselves with people who support their story while isolating you from anyone who might offer alternative perspectives on the relationship force. Social proof weaponization begins with carefully curated friend groups that share her worldview and support her victim stories. These allies provide constant validation for her perspective while treating your concerns as evidence of your deficiencies rather than legitimate relationship issues. She also uses social media strategically to create public stories about your relationship that do not match your private experience. The perfect couple photos, the loving posts about your partnership, and the public displays of affection create social pressure to maintain the illusion rather than address the reality. The weapon becomes particularly powerful when she recruits your own friends and family to her perspective through careful impression management and strategic sharing of information. She presents herself as the reasonable, caring partner, while subtly portraying you as difficult, unreasonable, or emotionally unstable. This social proof manipulation makes it nearly impossible to get objective feedback about the relationship because everyone in your social circle has been influenced by her carefully constructed story. Your reality becomes increasingly isolated, while her version gains social validation. Many mentally dangerous women create financial dependencies and entanglements that make leaving the relationship economically costly, adding practical barriers to the mental barriers they have already established. Financial entanglement often begins with seemingly innocent shared expenses, joint accounts, or financial interdependence that appears to be normal relationship progression. However, these arrangements gradually shift in ways that increase your financial obligations while reducing your financial independence. She might encourage you to take on shared debts for her benefits, co-sign for obligations that primarily serve her interests, or make financial decisions that increase your responsibility for her well-being. Each financial entanglement makes leaving more complicated and expensive. The strategy also involves creating lifestyle inflation that requires your income to maintain. She encourages spending patterns, living arrangements, or financial commitments that stretch your resources while making her comfortable, creating financial pressure that keeps you trapped, even when the relationship becomes unbearable. Financial manipulation can also involve sabotaging your career advancement, discouraging income-increasing opportunities, or creating crises that interfere with your professional development. This ensures your continued financial dependence while limiting your options for economic independence. When you begin recognizing the mental damage and attempting to heal from toxic relationship patterns, dangerous women often escalate their control tactics to prevent your recovery and maintain mental control. Recovery sabotage begins with minimizing your concerns and reframing your healing attempts as attacks on the relationship. Your desire for therapy becomes selfishness, your need for space becomes abandonment, and your attempts at boundary setting become evidence of your unwillingness to work on the relationship. The sabotage escalates through crisis manufacturing designed to interrupt your healing activities. She creates emergencies that require your immediate attention whenever you are scheduled for therapy, self-care activities, or time with supportive friends who might encourage your continued growth. She also uses your own healing language against you, adopting therapy terminology to pathologize your actions while avoiding accountability for her own. Your attempts to communicate healthily become evidence of your emotional control, while her manipulation becomes reframed as justified responses to your actions. The most sophisticated sabotage involves appearing to support your healing while subtly undermining it. She might encourage therapy while selecting therapists who align with her perspective, support your boundaries while violating them consistently, or claim to want change while sabotaging every attempt at genuine relationship improvement. The fundamental truth about mentally dangerous women is that they operate below the radar of conscious awareness, using your own positive qualities against you. Your desire to help becomes the mechanism for your own mental destruction. Your capacity for love becomes the weakness they exploit. These women are not necessarily evil or deliberately malicious. They are mentally unconscious, operating from unhealed wounds and unintegrated shadows that seek external targets for internal problems. They genuinely do not understand the damage they cause because they lack the self-awareness to recognize their own mental patterns. The danger lies in their unconsciousness combined with your consciousness. Your awareness and empathy make you vulnerable to their projections and manipulations. Your desire to understand and help makes you an ideal host for their mental parasitism. Protection requires developing the ability to recognize these patterns quickly and respond appropriately. This means trusting your emotional responses when relationships feel draining, chaotic, or confusing. It means maintaining boundaries even when boundary setting is presented as unloving. Most importantly, protection requires understanding that you cannot heal someone who does not want to be healed. You cannot love someone into mental health. You cannot sacrifice yourself to save someone who is determined to remain unconscious. The women worth investing in are those who take responsibility for their own mental health, who do their own emotional work, and who bring consciousness rather than chaos to relationships. They enhance your life rather than consuming it, support your growth rather than sabotaging it, and contribute to the relationship rather than just taking from it. Healthy women do not require you to lose yourself to love them. They do not need you to become mentally smaller so they can feel bigger. They do not drain your energy to fuel their problems or use your empathy as a weapon against your well-being. The path to protection involves developing discernment between genuine vulnerability and manipulative victimhood, between authentic emotional needs and parasitic emotional demands, between real intimacy and mental invasion. It requires trusting your instincts even when those instincts contradict someone's carefully constructed image. If this analysis of hidden mental control has helped you recognize dangerous patterns in your own relationships, subscribe to Inner Empire for more insights into protecting your mental health from people who present as helpers while actually being harmers. Hit that notification bell because understanding these dynamics could save you years of mental damage disguised as love. Share this video with any man who needs to understand that the most dangerous women are often the ones who seem the most caring, because true care builds you up, rather than breaking you down from the inside out.